Welcome to Echo Base Network, and wow, what some technical difficulties we just experienced, and it was totally my fault. We'll make that smoother in the future, I promise, guys. I'm very sorry for that. Thank you for being here. We hope that you enjoyed our episode there titled Why We Love Star Wars. Every Saturday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, you can count on Echo Base Network, that's us and you, to be here to do our series, Why We Love Star Wars, where we are focusing on all things our love for Star Wars. I am doing a couple of last-minute touch-ups right here just to make sure that everything is seamless and good. We've got some really important and special guests that are going to be here with us. And guys, terribly, again, one more time, very sorry for the technical difficulties there. That should have been so much more seamless. Last week, no problems at all. We hit one wrong button and look at what happens there. So we're just going to continue to work on it. I want to thank Sal Vader right here at the very beginning, who did a super chat of $4.99. He said, opens door and the bells rattle. Hey, Seth, P.S. Go follow Plastic Galaxy on Facebook. Seth has incredible live sales. If you do not know who Seth is at Plastic Galaxy Toy Store, get ready. You're about to find out. And we also have Michael from RETROBLASTIng. And guys, I'm just going to be fully honest with you. I'm a fan. I am a fan of these guys. So hell, look at everybody that we've got here in this chat. We got Rob. Thank you, Rob, for being here, and your R2D2 magic. Rob is just an incredible. Rob is just incredible at building and making props and things like that. So Rob, it is awesome to have you here. Ryland Sand is here with us. Hello, Ryland. Please tell your parents that Coach said hello, and Uncle Nick. We've got cotton candy hair Jeremy. I know that Jeremy is going to rip me to shreds because things didn't go seamless, and he's going to give it to me. So I'm ready, Jeremy. You just let me know what we need to improve, and your comments are always welcome, to my friend. Happy 2020 from the Mr. Pete channel. Hello. We have our famous turd burglar, and look who just popped into the stream. My partner here at Echo Base Network, none other than Nick Glenn, who did an amazing video today or yesterday. We've done so much. Nick, how you doing?
Good. Once we got past the quick little technical difficulties there.
Yeah, we definitely had some technical difficulties. That's not going to happen in the future, as that one little button is not going to be pressed next time. Stephen Ernest, I thought you were going to follow that with a live stream. We are. It is right now, and you are watching it. This is our live stream. Hello, Rob. You are in the game, my good friend. Hello, Stone Loki. Hail to you, sir. E. Stevens, our first giveaway winner. We have a special giveaway tonight, guys. If you like vintage Star Wars, 1980s Star Wars, unopened in the original package, Echo Base Network is delivering. That'd be me and Nick. So you just hang on and see that. Hello there. Hail, Matt Blackwood, one of our oldest friends in the Star Wars community. And then we have Mikhail Wolf. Hello, Mikhail. Very nice to have you as well, sir. So I don't know where Nick just went. So if you guys don't mind, while we're here, give us some feedback. Give us some feedback on the very short video that you just saw, Why We Love Star Wars. And just in case you missed it, because I know this is a totally different stream, tonight's episode was about camaraderie. That was actually the name of it, camaraderie, which is basically another word for friendship. The irony there is that if it weren't for Star Wars, if it weren't for Star Wars, Nick and I would not have the type of friendship. We wouldn't be friends at all. If it wasn't for Star Wars, Nick and I would not have this channel. We wouldn't even know each other at all. When we were 7th graders, I couldn't stand Nick. I thought he was just an idiot, to be honest with you. And then Star Wars is something that just brought us together. One day I walked by, he's reading a Darth Vader book, and we've been best friends for 29 years now. So
I was
we
an
have
idiot.
a very special guest tonight that I am, and Nick is as well, a huge fan of. I mean, absolutely huge. I'm going to say that this individual in his channel about 5 or 6 years ago, for me personally, has been a huge influence in the creation of this very young channel. And I'm talking about none other than Michael from RETROBLASTING. We're going to bring in Michael now. Hey there, Michael.
Hey, how are you?
I
How's
am
it
doing
going?
great, sir.
Good.
How are you
good.
doing?
Doing fine. Can't complain.
I see that you are already showing off your collection behind you.
Well, I figured, look, where this computer normally is, the background would normally be like a Kylie Minogue poster, which is, I love Kylie. But I figured for Echo Base, I move it, over to the toy room.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we are. I mean, seriously, Michael, thank you so much for being here with us.
Sure.
I don't know if you watched the broadcast that we just did, but we pretty much gave you the last word in that broadcast.
Really?
I took a snippet from one of the videos that you did just the other day, and it was talking about basically the negativity involved in the fandom today.
Yeah.
And so that's actually where this show comes into play, sir. We're really focused. We're bringing it back full circle. Why we love Star Wars. That's the name of this show every Saturday night. We're talking about the good, because we're not going to allow the negative to outweigh the positive.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, those of you if anybody doesn't know in the chat, Michael runs RETROBLASTING. He is, I mean, it's just incredible what he does. The education and the knowledge that he gives us. Him being a fan first and foremost, everything vintage toys. He's had a huge impact on us here. You see my collection or parts of it in the back behind me. It's nothing like his, but I'm proud of it. So anyways, Michael, did you have a good Christmas, good New Year's before we get into what we're talking about here?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Melinda surprised me with the Black Series Luke Skywalker helmet and the arcade 1-up cabinet. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that is great.
I got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one, but that Star Wars one is definitely on my list.
Yeah, I would run into Showbiz Pizza as a kid, and I was 4 years old because it was 83 when that game came out, and I was not tall enough, which is funny because now I'm like 6'3", but back then I wasn't tall enough, and I always had to find this one stool that they had, like a little step stool for little kids, and it had a carpeted top on it, and I'd run it over to that cabinet, and I'd just sit in front of it and play. And then I would emulate that game on MAME in college, but because you didn't have the yoke, you couldn't really emulate it like you could Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles, as long as you had a gamepad, you could pretty much play it. But Star Wars, you couldn't do that with. And so having this cabinet again, even in 3/4 scale, is such a weird, lovely experience. Just having it in the background, knowing I can go play like I did when I was 4. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so you get that feeling of nostalgia having the cabinet.
Yeah, exactly.
And being able to play it, and that's a perfect segue to introducing our next guest, who's going to be here with us. Speaking of camaraderie, speaking of friendship, he is another very strong, influential power in Star Wars fandom, guys. And I bought the Super Nintendo trilogy games, all 3 of them, complete in the box from this guy, so I can still play them. And I want to play them. I don't want to emulate that. I want to play the real deal.
Yeah.
This is none other than our friend Seth Hastings from Plastic Galaxy Toy Store. Seth, how are you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing good as long as you guys can hear me okay. How's
we can hear
doing?
You great.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
We can hear you great. Well, I was just sitting here spending some time with Michael and Nick, our other host here at Echo Base Network. So, Michael, Seth, I've known you for several years now in the toy business. I'll start the same way I did with Michael. Everything been good lately? I know you guys are both incredibly busy. Christmas, New Year's, all that stuff. Everything's going well.
Oh yeah, just kind of business as usual. Wrapping up the, of course, hectic holiday season as we all have. But man, just having a good time and definitely Star Wars is still relevant. So there you go.
Absolutely, that's well said. Star Wars is still relevant, no question about that. Well, it better be for you, anyways.
hey, I'm a vintage guy, so I got no dog in any fight. Okay.
Yeah, that gold is always going to be valuable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and speaking of vintage, I've got a vintage piece giveaway that we're going to be doing later on tonight in the show. But we just are glad to have you guys here. And Seth, just in case you missed it, this show is about why we love Star Wars. Mm-hmm. We're pretty much staying away from Disney killed it. I don't like those movies, but that's not, I mean, we'll go there if y'all want to go there. But this show is about why we love Star Wars. So, yeah, really, just like plutonium, don't even touch that.
Go ahead, Nicholas.
I was just going to say, we got pretty much Michael's take in the last two videos, which I thought were absolutely amazing. I shared them out all over the place. I was wondering if you're ever going to come out and say anything about these movies, because I knew you didn't like them. Just talking with Jeff Hicks over at World Class. Mm-hmm. And me and him have talked back and forth a lot. I actually got to meet him and hang out and stuff, but he kind of led me on to the fact that you didn't really care for him either. So I was waiting for those to come out. When you dropped them, I was like, finally.
Well, just a side note on something positive about that, because this show is going to be, on the upswing. Yeah. A few weeks ago, I guess it was about a week or two ago, I sat down and I had like not a dull moment, but like a quiet moment. And I didn't have anything to work on. I was kind of in between things. And I thought, I've got a few hours. And I hadn't watched Rogue One since really the theater. And I had it on Blu-ray. I've got it in Steelbook or whatever fancy dancy thing it is. And I thought, I need to just sit down and just watch this again. And I know there's people out there that don't like that movie. There's going to be people out there that don't like any of the movies in the series, but for me, I think Rogue One has been Disney's strongest effort. Absolutely. And I really, really enjoyed it upon rewatching it. Despite everything I know about the behind the scenes drama, I really enjoyed the rescreening experience. And after I got done and I sat there, I was like, man, even with all the chaos and the drama and the turmoil that went on behind the scenes, so much of that movie they got right. And I was just like, and I'm not trying to lead us anywhere, but I just had the idle thought of, it's amazing how they couldn't get it right everywhere else. That was they're doing it now with Mandalorian, but that was well before Mandalorian was even a thing. So anyway, yeah.
Yep, very good there. Well, one thing that, and I see this comment in the chat here that I want to show. Mm-hmm. We can go there, but let's say why the originals are so much better, and that's actually not going to be our focus, but thank you for commenting, Mr. Pete. What we're actually doing is this place is a place for Star Wars fan of any capacity. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's actually unique about Star Wars fandom, is that there are people who love the EU. There are people who love the toys, like mm-hmm. All four of us do. There are people who love the original trilogy, their prequels. I mean, we could go on and on and on, comics. So, and then some people just love it all as long as it just says Star Wars. It could be a piece of toilet tissue or whatever.
Right.
But this Saturday night show for us is for anyone who loves Star Wars, again, in any capacity. And we all have a story. So what is it about Star Wars, whatever that is for you, that, because that's why you're here. We're all here. The people in the chat, the people that are going to be watching this video later on down the road, even years from now, you're here because you love Star Wars. That's what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So what is our Star Wars story? And you don't want to hear my story or Nick's story. A lot of us already know that in the chat. So we're focusing on these two individuals. Seth, I'm going to give you the first word. You're being awfully quiet over there tonight. So Seth, tell us a little bit about your Star Wars story, and then you can go as far as you want to. And speaking of camaraderie and friendship, I know that you two guys have that. So we're excited to have two guys who are actually friends here doing this.
And this just kind of happened too. Coach wasn't expecting Michael to be on tonight, but after his stream today, which we'll talk about later before we let them go, I reached out to him and then let Coach know, and he was like, "Oh crap, this is great."
Yeah, divine intervention or the Force.
Yeah.
Seth, tell us about where it all started with you for Star Wars.
Man, it started just probably not like I don't have any really catalyst. I just remember being young and the movies were the first movie I saw. Oddly enough, I went back and watched one of Michael's videos the other day. Was Return of the Jedi. We're like the same age, so it makes sense. I saw the other movies. Basically, it was either prior to that, probably they were out on VHS or Beta or whatever at that time, and saw them, and then. Obviously, I did see Empire Strikes Back, the re-release, because they re-released it before Return of the Jedi, and probably afterwards as well. But I saw those movies, but I got into the toy aspect of it because it was fun. And just oddly enough, I had this later on. This is my childhood Boba Fett that I've had with the complete with the rocket chewed off by yours truly. It happens. So that it really kind of just started with me as a young kid. It was really popular, obviously, and I loved the stories and. I love it was just something different, and a real impressionable child. And in daycare, we'd all play with the toys and such. So it kind of spawned from that. And then probably like everybody else in the 90s, I kind of took a hiatus because I was older and getting into cars and girls and whatever it may be. And all my stuff got, with the exception of a few things, got kind of pushed off in the garage sales like everybody else. And then, culminating kind of a weird story about how fast forwarding, 30 years or whatever it will be, 2015 when we opened the store. It was kind of a weird situation, but kind of a unique situation. My mom at that time was having a lot of health problems, and she ended up passing away, due to cancer and whatnot about that time. So she was actually the big influencer of Star Wars on me as a young kid, because she was a real big movie person. She liked Jaws and like all these type of things, and which she passed on to me as kind of like, hey, check this out. So in kind of a weird turn of events, kind of a homage, if you will, the store opened up just prior to The Force Awakens, and it's been all downhill or uphill depending on the day since then.
Yeah,
that's it.
I hear you. So, and it's just awesome that you mentioned hiatus, and we all went through those stages of life. I think we all generally are up close to the same age. So it's kind of like up and down, but it stayed with us through the whole time. And we're still here today in our 40s, still talking Star Wars. I can't wait to hear this story. He's produced a lot. I've seen a lot. I know a lot. I know that's kind of weird. You've got a stalker from Alabama, Michael.
Melinda's from Alabama.
So, okay, let's go, War Eagle. Michael, tell us a little bit about your Star Wars story, sir.
Yeah. So, like Seth, almost like Seth, I would have seen the movies out of order. However, Kismet intervened. So it was about 1982. Yeah, it was definitely 1982. I was into Mego Pocket Superheroes, Spider-Man, and I was into Dukes of Hazzard. That was like my 4-year-old thing. And my parents are going to go over to the house of the Berkeleys. The Berkeleys are family friends. They don't have any kids, which was kind of prophetic. I didn't realize that by meeting the Berkeleys, I was meeting my future self, which is weird. He was that guy in the 80s who, had a good job, and, he liked to get together with his friends and play some cards in the breakfast table at his house, but he had this state-of-the-art home theater for the time. Do you remember the televisions that had the projection unit on the floor in the front? Like, yes. It was very mod, but it was, the 3 color guns, and he had this big screen television with the hi-fi stereo hooked up to it and the sectional couch. And he had gotten off. I don't know if it was one of the movie channels. I don't know. He was a very industrious guy for back then. Like if he was been that age today, he'd have already had the internet 2 years before the rest of us. He was just that guy. He had a beta taped copy, and this was 82, so there were no official VHS or beta releases of the movie yet, but he had a beta commercialless, no grainy anything copy of Star Wars. Like it was pan and scan. I wouldn't have known that term back then, but it was full screen for the big TV. And they said, Michael's, really into movies and stuff, and he'll be quiet, he's not going to bother anybody if we show him a movie. And he said, well, I got this movie, Star Wars, he'll love it. And they were like, oh, right, Star Wars. And so they put me down in front of the TV, and it was one of those old school front projectors where, if you weren't in the center, the screen could like disappear. And I had a primo seat because they were all playing cards. So this movie starts. The screen for back then was massive, and Star Destroyer comes flying over, and I'm just like, you know, like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. So after that, my mom and I go to Kroger. This is in Nashville, Tennessee, by the way. Mom and I go to Kroger, and there are figures on an end display, like one of those cardboard end displays where they're all sort of inset in the cubbies. And I pick up Chewbacca, and I get sensor scope R2-D2 for my brother because I'd just seen the movie, and it all just kicked off from there. And then after that, I was hooked. And, you know, you guys are talking about the hiatus. It's kind of funny. The only hiatus that I really had was forced upon me, and I rejected it. So 1985 comes along. I get the last few toys. 86 and 87 is spent with great displeasure trying to test out Silverhawks, Mask, Voltron, all that kind of stuff. And all of it was okay, but it wasn't Star Wars, right? It was like, eh. And so I started asking my mother to take me to the Nashville Fairgrounds, to the flea markets, to try and get the figures that I didn't find before the toys were all gone. Wow. So if you look behind me, wrong hand, if you look behind me, you see this Hoth Leia right here?
I do.
That Hoth Leia, all of these right here, and that's my childhood Millennium Falcon, by the way. But all of these right here are my childhood characters. Hoth Leia was one I didn't find until about 87 when I went to the Nashville Fairgrounds and bought her out of a booth from some lady who was selling her son's toys. But that's how I got her. And then when we found out that the Hamilton collection or the Franklin Mint, whichever one it was doing the first set of plates, I begged my parents for these collector plates. And so they ended up buying me the collector plates. Fast forward, we're now living in London in the early 90s. I'm already into the Zahn books. I'm buying the toys off my friends, like who still have them. You got a Tauntaun? I'll give you a one or two quid for the Tauntaun. You got this? They were just selling me stuff. And yeah, by the time I got back, the whole expanded universe was in full swing. So Star Wars was only forced hiatus briefly, and then it never went out of my head. And the final note that I'll say on that, because I know I'm talking too long, is that the 1987, I asked my mom and dad, I said, where are the Star Wars toys? They said they're in a box up in the attic, which is over the garage. And they'd only been up there for like, I don't know, maybe a year, you know? And I said, can you get them down? And they said, sure. And I would swear on a Bible or anything that this story is absolutely true. I said, can you please get them down? And my dad said, sure. And he went up there and he brought them down. And I started getting out my Ewok village and sitting in the floor and playing with them. And it was early in the morning, and my mom turned on the TV, and Good Morning America was on. And Good Morning America said, well, today is the 10th anniversary of Star Wars. And that was freaky to me. So I've always had this kind of love of those films and those toys and that time. I've always been real connected to it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the Nashville flea market. Mm-hmm. I still go there hunting Star Wars toys.
Yep.
I still go there.
Yep.
And look, everybody has their own expertise. Mm-hmm. So let me ask. The bubble is clear. A little bit of veining above the punch, Seth.
Seth pops up. Huh?
There's a
you're speaking my language now.
There's a sticker on the bubble, but I'm sure we can get that off with some Goo Gone. Okay. And I don't know, Seth. What do you think? About 250, maybe?
Slightly tinted, you said?
Only very slightly, if at all.
So just the main issue would be, from a condition, would be just by the punch, some veining, right?
A little bit of veining by the punch, and that's it.
Man,
it's a good piece. Seth Hastings would say, this is a really good piece, guys. This is a really
No, seriously. Well, what back is it, 41?
It is a 41 back.
250 to 300-ish.
250 to 300. So not very valuable, but priceless for me. And it will sit there on the shelf because I love her. I love her too, Michael. I love her too.
Now, what did you call her when you were a kid, though? And I know you're probably like, what do you mean? And I'll explain in a second. See, because I saw Empire last because of the videotape thing. I saw Jedi in the theater that summer.
Oh, wow.
And then I saw Empire last because I was waiting for it to come out on videotape. And so there was this weird. So I had like the read-along cassette, but that's a very Cliff Notes version of the story. And so my next door neighbor had a lot of the Empire vehicles and stuff. And I fell in love with Empire the moment I saw it. It was my favorite one and still is. I had weird names for the characters up into that point that I still remember because I had not seen Empire. So, and I don't think I had the read-along cassette at that point. And even afterwards, I used it as kind of like a childhood vernacular. So Hoth Leia was Snow Leia. So it was Snow Leia, Snow Luke, and Snow Han.
I got you.
And then it was Brown Luke. Was it? Because I couldn't pronounce fatigues. So it was Brown Luke. Right. And it wasn't, again, I knew that I would be seeing the movies at some point, but before that, I didn't have any frame of reference. I thought that Death Star Droid and R5D4 were a pair, just like R2 and 3PO were a pair for a while, you know?
It's amazing how you can you come up with your own name for the toys, especially when you don't even know how to pronounce it. I had this friend growing up named Nicholas Glenn, who is right there, and he called Bosk Bozik, and I think he still does to this day.
Yeah. I met a guy the other day. He called him IG-88. And I didn't like make fun of him or anything. I was like,
it's cool.
It was
exactly what he meant.
Yeah, because it went all the way back to when he was a kid. You know, I see people all the time who get in the fight with me. It's AT-AT. And I'm like, nobody when I was growing up called it the AT-AT. Even the Kenner commercial said AT-AT Walker.
That's right.
But people come at me like I'm, misquoting the scriptures or something. It's like, I'm like, dude, I was there. Okay. I was there. Like, you don't remember Star Wars before Jar Jar Binks. All right. I was there,
we all grew up and lived it.
Yeah.
As kids.
Yeah. I love that misquoting scriptures part. And see, here's the thing. You knew exactly what they're talking about when he said IG-88. They know exactly what you're talking about. When I think we all say AT-AT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to call that my doggy when I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
That's my doggy.
Yeah.
I didn't have a pet. That was my dog.
It was shocking to me when I was a kid. I got the Scout Walker for my birthday in '84, I believe. I think it was '84. And I was shocked that it was said Scout Walker on the box because I called it Chicken Walker. I was like, the Chicken Walker. And then it said Scout Walker. And then just a few years later, people were like, it's the AT-ST. And I'm like, I live with Scout and I can deal with chicken. And now, of course, I know that's what it means. The AT-ST, that's totally fine. But it is weird to have those terms introduced to you much later, Yep. So,
Nick, do you remember what we called the AT-ST?
I think I always called it AT-STAT.
That's what I called it too. We called it AT-STAT.
And I called it the Scout Walker.
Isn't that weird?
Right. I'm like Seth. Once I knew it said Scout Walker, I just called it the Scout Walker.
Yeah.
It just sounds cooler too. Not so like, just precise and technical. And like the whole thing with the AT-AT versus AT-AT, to me, I just like look at that. That's almost like a political correct minutia thing. I'm just like, come on, get over it.
Right. Yeah.
It's like we have to argue about something so dumb.
Right. Yeah. I don't mind people who call it AT-AT. I don't have like a crusade against them or anything. But it's so weird because they always come at me like I'm some hick. They're like you hayseed. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's such a silly thing to go after somebody for.
Oh yeah.
But it's actually going to be kind of nice if that's something that we're wanting to do on this channel. These are the kind of things that we want to talk about.
Sure.
We want to have some friendly debates on here and get some prequel trilogy lovers to kind of just banter back and forth. I mean, because things have been so bleak lately.
Sure.
So and here's the thing. It's kind of like what you said earlier, Michael. Star Wars isn't going to go away. You remain steadfast with it, and I will love it till I'm gone. So we want somewhere where we can go to actually kind of concentrate on the positives and why we love it. Yeah, because I'm tired of me ripping on why I hate it. It's time for me to move on there.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Coach and I, kind of since we started this channel, kind of lean towards the Phantom Menace side of things just for our distaste of the movies. But, you know, what we always try to explain to people is we wanted these movies to be good. We're not hating just to hate, you know, and so you get all these people that are talking about, oh, you guys just hate just to be hating on something, and which that's not the case. Like, we love Star Wars. We want it to be good. You know, we don't want to trash these movies. You know, we're just not happy with what we've gotten. And I think they're starting to make a course correction, you know, after seeing what we got with the Mandalorian, and you know, we'll see what we get with the Obi-Wan series. You know, and you know, I'm holding out hope that it's good.
Yeah, they just announced, I don't know if it's rumor mill or what, you know, they're saying that the next Disney Plus projects, whatever it is, are going to try and fill in, or maybe it was I think it's TV, but it might be comics. Something that they're doing is going to try and fill in how the First Order came to be, which I kind of laughed at, because I was like, that's exactly what Clone Wars did for the prequels. Was Clone Wars explained everything that needed explaining that didn't get explained in those films, right? And so it's like, oh, we're back around the horn on this again. And while I hope that happens, you know, because I actually really like the Clone Wars show, it's like, why do they keep making, you know, like, it's like we want to sit people down in a boardroom and go, all right, this has happened twice now, so we gotta make sure that we don't do that again, you know. But anyway, so back to vintage toys, because they're great. Anyway,
hey, I've got one more thing to add about that. I was thinking about this for a while when the Force Awakens came out and had all this dissension and whatnot, and I came to the conclusion that it's not for me. Obviously, it's not my Star Wars, but I think when we talk about like corporations and Disney, I think it's one thing to, like, you know, everybody has their opinion about Disney, what they do, but Disney is making Star Wars, you know, really for the next generations of people, and they really don't care about us. Because that future money is what they're after. We're not going and buying the new stuff. They're more concentrated with our kids, so they're trying to bridge that gap and give them something to, like, get onto with Rey and all that stuff, because that's that's their thing. So it took me a while, and I was like, you know what, that's just not for me. It's cool that it's out. It's a cool story, but like the Mando stuff is cool because it has nothing. I should say the tie-in to the OT is very small, and that's what I think they need to concentrate on. If the things that I like are things that are not going to, you know, try to mess with the original canon or whatever buzzword you want to use. You know what I mean?
And I think that's one of the reasons why Rogue One was so accepted, you know, by most fans, because, you know, it didn't really go against what was already established within canon. It just added to it. Plus, we got that badass Vader scene at the end that everybody loved, you know. So, which
I just learned a few weeks ago. You know, there was that whole thing where Tony Gilroy was brought in to do reshoots because whatever that drama was behind the scenes. But Gareth Edwards still played ball, and he was very amicable to the whole thing. I just found out confirmation. Gareth Edwards shot and conceived the Darth Vader scene at the end, and it was the last reshoot that was done for the movie. I've always believed that Gareth Edwards has a really, really awesome Star Wars war film in the vault at Disney that got cut up by the studio, right? And we know that from the trailers and a lot of the behind-the-scenes footage. Knowing that he was also the guy behind what everybody says is the coolest scene in the movie further confirms to me that there is a even greater version of Rogue One somewhere in the vault, and I would love one day to see it, because I loved those original trailers for it. I loved the shots that we never got to see integrated into the film. It looks like an amazing film. So
absolutely. So let's talk about, you know, I'm going to do something kind of weird right here, I think. What kind of positives can you two guys spin out of the current state of things? Like, Seth, you have your store. What kind of impact has the current state of things had, and what are the positives there? And Michael, I just know, after having followed you for years now, you've got projects on your calendar. You know what you have planned down the road, and so what are the positives that's kind of influenced you in that way?
Okay, Seth, go for it.
I apologize. Father Store goes. I mean, obviously, when you have any subject matter that's prevalent or out there that's talked about a lot. It's going to create buzz, and of course that there is it helps me. But I've always maintained that I'll still do it regardless. But yes, I'm sure it's still in everybody's mind. I mean, my thing is I challenge people to go to any commercial outlet and find something not branded with Star Wars. I mean, there's a Star Wars car now. It's just like there's toilet paper, condoms, whatever you want. So it's hard to get away from. Is what I'm saying. So yes, it helps, but at the same time, it's like it wouldn't change my. It's never gonna. It's just there's ebbs and flows of Star Wars. It's never gonna die, obviously. But obviously, with the movies staying and the Disney Plus going on, it's definitely they're gonna keep force feeding as long as people eat it. So and that's cool. I take it both ways. So I'm kind of indifferent on the whole scope of where it's at now. I just do what I do, and if people still enjoy it, then that's great. But it hasn't really hit me because I do a lot of vintage stuff, and those guys are a lot of those are kind of like-minded, kind of sync with me anyway. So they're not going to they don't really care about what the new movies are impacting. They just want their childhood to be relived.
Yeah, I haven't been as involved in not purposefully either, but involved in the toy groups in the past couple of years as I used to be. But I pop in and kind of look at what's going on every once in a while. And it kind of looked to me like I would say that more people in the toy community are liking everything that's going on, and they're seeing it as more of a positive thing than I am. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I don't. I really kind of forced myself over the last couple of years to I'm always online anyway, so it's like it's hard to get unplugged from that. But yeah, I mean, I see both ends of it. Some people, there's some people just are indifferent about it. But yeah, there's a healthy amount of people, older school guys and younger guys, obviously, and gals rather, that are into the new movies, and that's cool. I mean, it's whatever floats your boat. But like I said, I don't really follow it a whole lot in the reaction. I think it's kind of fun to hear people what they have to say, as long as they keep it, civil. That's where we start getting into La La Land, and I'm just like, I don't want to mess with that crap. You know what I mean?
Look at this comment right here, guys, from Rob. It says, Michael, Coach, and Nick, and Seth, my 15-year-old daughter just said the double telescoping sabers are cool. Love that kid. Vintage forever. Sir, Rob, I think your daughter's going to cost you a lot of money, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're looking for one, I know somebody that's probably got one. He's getting it right now, I bet.
This is funny because I just got this in the other day. I couldn't have staged it any better. And this is not anything, but yeah, I've got one right there just so you see it. Whatever.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah, so there you go.
All right, so I got to tell a story here. Seth already knows what story I'm going to tell. So, So I'm on a business trip a few years ago to Oklahoma City, and Tim and Aaron are with me. Aaron, who co-hosts the Dreamland podcast, and Tim, who runs our live streams, and we're just fast friends. And we get a hotel, and then across the street or something like that, we see like this marquee that says Plastic Galaxy on this storefront. And I'm like, that's gotta be a Star Wars store. What the heck? I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, cause I live in Atlanta, and Atlanta's this drought of anything cool that's pop culture until Dragon Con shows up. Like there are no stores. There's very few gaming places. Like it's just, aside from GameStop, there's nothing here. And so we get there, and I'm like, I got to go over there. I don't care if we've got to be up early in the morning. I want to get over there before it closes. And they're like, yeah. So we go over there, and I go in the storefront, and it's this beautiful, clean, almost museum-like environment. It's got these great layouts. He's got everything he's got like sections for the Saga figures and the Legacy figures and the Power of the Force 2 and this and that. And there's things hanging from the ceiling, but all tastefully arranged. It doesn't look like TGI Fridays, it looks real nice. And I walk in there, and he's behind the counter, and he turns to me and he goes, Michael? And I was like, is there someone else in the store? And he knew me from the YouTube channel. So we start talking, right? And the reason I wanted to tell this story is because of what Seth just did, reaching over and just getting the one thing. So Seth didn't know this. I didn't vocalize it. Seth's just this awesome guy who gets all this crazy stuff. And he's like, I got to show you what I just got in. And I said, yeah, what is it? And so he runs to the back, and he comes back out, and he's got this pristine blue snaggletooth, like this absolutely gorgeous blue snaggletooth. And that was the one vintage version of anything I still didn't have. I've got Yak Face. I've got Pop-Up Lightsaber. I've got all the last 17. I just done a video about it. I have all the figures except blue snaggletooth.
Plastic tape Jawa?
Well, I don't have that variant, but as far as like I don't have that one. So thanks for outing me on that.
Hey, we can make it happen.
So and it's harder for me with that because I'm a loose collector for the most part. I'm still looking for that walking card Luke Skywalker MOC, but other than our Bespin Luke. But anyway, so I'm looking at it and I said, "Is this for sale?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's a store. Everything's for sale." And I said, "Well, how much?" I said, "How much do you want for it?" I said, I want you to just name your price." I said, because I'm not going to haggle, I'm not good at that. So just name your price. And it was so cool because it was like, I go in there, he magically kind of knows the one thing I don't have, and then he produces it like David Copperfield, he's like, "Look," and I'm like, "What the heck?" Then I walked away with it, and I know you can't see it, but it's with it's all opposite. It's with the
Cantina set, right?
The Cantina
okay, yeah. I see right up there.
Yeah. But he's standing there, and he's still got his actual blaster. They never got mixed up, Seth. It's still with him. So yeah, yeah.
That is awesome.
Nice.
How rare is it to go somewhere like Seth's store? We haven't been, but it's on our list.
Oh my gosh, you got to go. Just drop your headsets and go right now.
So we were
right behind him.
We were, I don't know, 18 years old maybe, and we're talking about, we live right outside of Huntsville, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So we took a road trip at 18 years old to Cincinnati, Ohio to go to the Earth Collectible Toy Mall.
Uh-huh.
Did you guys ever hear that place?
Oh yeah.
It was a store like I would imagine Seth's is like.
It was awesome.
Yeah. So you see this Star Destroyer?
Mm-hmm.
I got that from the Earth Collectible.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's
ordered
great.
offline. Yeah.
That just gives me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
You walk in there, and
awesome.
it was 1998.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We walked in there, guys, and the entire wall was all MOCs.
Mm-hmm.
All. Like,
I just wish the prices were the same as back then.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I wish we had some 90s prices. No doubt about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So I unfortunately had to sell my entire loose collection. So I'm in the process of trying to build it back up. One day I'll have another complete run, but
yeah, it's always the kind of I see all kinds of cool stuff. That, man, to me, the bread and butter, what I do, has always been loose figures, and it's kind of the cornerstone of collecting. It's like you can get into it for a reasonable price. You're not going to spend. I mean, obviously, it'll cost a lot depending on condition and what you're going to get, but you can get into that cheap and just have fun with it. And you can spend $20 here and there, and obviously, if you're into that for that, that's cool. But I mean, you shouldn't be feel like you're somehow financially depleted when you buy a loose figure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until you get to the last 17, then you get a little bit gun shy.
That was where I've told people before, I felt like, I was collecting in stages to fill in my vintage collection, like first in the 90s in comic shops, getting the big pieces that I never had as a kid, like that I could find because there was no internet then, there was no eBay. And then when Revenge of the Sith came out, for some reason, interest in vintage had kind of plateaued and it was a little lowish. And so I got all the Empire Strikes Back stuff between that and 08. I just got all the Empire stuff I never had. And then I started really filling in after that. And then I completed my last 17 about a year before I did the video. And then looking at the prices now, it's clear that it was like a scene where Indy's going under a door that's shutting and the hat falls off and he grabs it just before the door closes. That was what happened. I grabbed the last stuff I needed before the door to relative prices closed. And then it just, boom, went straight up. So,
right.
Yeah.
I can actually remember where I was sitting when I watched your video, Michael, at RETROBLASTING, and you had a mystery box that you had just gotten.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I felt like the box was mine. Like it felt so amazing sitting there watching. You had no idea what it was, and then you uttered these words. This came from my good friend Seth Hastings, and I was like, "Oh, that's amazing!" And I don't even remember at this point what was in that box. But
I can show you if he's not blocked. Oh, he's kind of blocked. You can see his arm by the AT-AT. It's the large Bespin Jumbo Bespin Luke, right by the AT-AT, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm not good at this camera thing. Anyway, it's up there. It's up there by the AT-AT. So,
well, I mean, and that makes me think of, the title of our episode tonight that we debuted at 7:00 right before this stream was called Camaraderie and Friendship. And my partner in the stream with me, Nick, we've been best friends for 29 years. Every Christmas, we got each other a present. And it always had to be a vintage Star Wars figure.
Yeah.
A variant, a figure we didn't have. What do you remember, Nick, when I got you the Lando with the coin, Lando General with the coin?
Yeah. Yep, I sure do.
That's a pretty good gift, even for 1994, guys.
And I think I got Coach Weekway MOC Jedi.
You did. Absolutely, you did. Man, I had the most appropriate follow-up comment to that, and I got so excited about talking about the toys that I lost it. Michael, tell us about your projects coming up this year and what you've got going on.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I have all these ideas, and then the ideas stack up, and then I think, well, I've got all this time, and they're all going to get done, and then things, take longer than I think, and then life kicks me in the face, and something happens. So my intention this year is to start out strong. I've got some Star Wars projects in the works. I've also got non-Star Wars projects in the works, which is, it's interesting. People are always asking me, when's the next Star Wars Follies? When's the next Star Wars Follies? And I'm like, well, Star Wars Follies, I only do those when I have something to say. And I never know, because I've gone through all of my childhood quibbles at this point. And so those were the ones that were up front. Return of the Jedi was all sticks, and Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, it was such a great series.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And Yellow Lightsaber and all that stuff. So I've still got things I want to talk about, but they take some time to percolate. And so the other day this was about 3 months ago. I was coming back home from some errand, and I was just in the car just thinking, and I had almost broken off the tip of one of my vintage original Luke Skywalkers because they're on those little stands, and I was dusting, and it was right behind me, actually. He's standing by the sand crawler. God, I'm not good at this camera. He's standing by the sand crawler, right there. And he had fallen over awkwardly, and he had landed on the saber before rolling over. And so even though, thankfully, no clear damage was done, it was a very close call. And I was like, those saber tips, they're 40 years old now. Even if they're still rock solid, they were never very robust to begin with. They break off, like that. Yeah. And so I started thinking about, a video like that, and that's going to become a Star Wars Follies. And then there's one that I want to do about the holiday special with Tom Burgess from iGrewUpStarWars.com. He's a good friend of ours too. And so he and I are supposed to be doing that. It was supposed to happen this Christmas, and then again, time happened, and so it'll have to be next Christmas, or maybe we'll just say screw it and just do it, in the middle of the year. There's one I'm doing that I'm trying to set up called Going Home to Stay, which is my review of the original Star Wars movie. I don't review a lot of movies on my channel, and I really want to talk about the original Star Wars and talk about the big screen TV I saw it on and all that kind of stuff, and the efforts to retain by the fans the theatrical cuts. So all that's going to be a video. And I feel like I'm leaving one big Star Wars Follies out, and I can't remember what it is. But again, I have these ideas, and then I sit on them for a little bit. And then somebody wants me to do a video of a Follies just about the Star Destroyer, which I could do that. But a lot of times I just like to find some little hook, something funny, something amusing, something weird to say, and kind of run with it for 5 to 10 minutes,
You do, and you do that extremely well, Michael.
Thanks.
I always enjoy that.
Thank you.
Let me ask you guys this. This might be this is a little analytical, I guess. I mentioned earlier in the stream that there are Star Wars fans of all different kinds. We're mainly talking about the toys because I think that's probably where, I'll speak for myself. Right below the original trilogy, if I had to compartmentalize everything in Star Wars fandom, games, shows, whatever, the toys are going to be just a tiny notch for me below the original trilogy. What do you guys think? If you had to compartmentalize and just separate it, some people love the music, the score, just what is it? What kind of would be your first 3 or 4 things maybe, and how close are the toys to the movies?
Seth, go for it.
I'd agree with that. I think, the movies came first, then the toys, for probably as a kid, I was probably more in, it was kind of a toss up because I liked them both. The movies, obviously were great. And the Kenner had a real good hook into there. And once you got a few, you wanted more, and then create your scenes in the sandbox or outside Hoth with the snow or whatever, or in the bathtub or whatever it may be.
Collect them all.
Yes, exactly. As I got older and really got into, was into the toy stuff more and more, I don't the toys, I just see a lot of them. So I'm not necessarily say I got jaded by them, but at the same time, the movies have always been the crux of it all for me. It's like, I have the original, and you can actually watch this on YouTube. There's a link to this. When the premiere of Star Wars came out, I watched it on TV at my grandmother's house. I had the video, the VHS of the same one that's on YouTube with all the cheesy commercials and bell bottoms or whatever. So for me, it was like the tie-in to the movies, and that's what I can always go back and watch. And I love the toys, but it kind of like, you can't have one without the other, obviously, but you sure won't have the toys without the movie. So I'm going to have to stick with kind of the core. And the movies were just where it was always at for me. And I'm a huge movie buff. So that even, I'm watching everything movies. So at least the old movies anyway. So I'm going to stick with the movies to be my favorite thing.
Absolutely. I see the comment here by Matt Blackwood, a personal friend of mine and Nick's. Matt, I remember when you found the speeder bike at Toys R Us in the winter of 1994, and I'm still jealous. How are you going to find a Return of the Jedi speeder bike in the package? There was a box, guys, in their warehouse that was full of Kenner. And Matt, my friend Matt Blackwood here, was able to go and pick up Kenner Star Wars figures in the mid-90s.
They had them out on the store shelves at Toys R Us in Huntsville, Alabama.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
If I found that today, I'd be screaming like a schoolgirl, man, just running around. My goodness. Michael, compartmentalize Star Wars for us.
Okay. Well, the movies are always special. They're always going to be, those 3 original movies are always going to be super special to me in their original forms. That's why I'm so happy about the Team -1 effort that's going on with the 4K 77 project, 4K 80, 4K 83. As far as everything that comes after that, I don't know if I can. I definitely, the Kenner toys are probably number 2. I mean, a very close number 2. The Kenner toys are always going to be super special. It's not every generation where you have a consistent trend of people our age putting the same group of toys in glass cases like, you are and we are and everybody is. So definitely we have to recognize that. After that, it's a few things. One, I love the lightsaber props. And as a kid, I couldn't replicate them because I didn't have the money, the wherewithal, the skill, the knowledge, all that kind of stuff. Now we're in a renaissance of prop replicas and everything like that. And I now have more lightsaber handles than my friends love to make fun of me for. I just love the original trilogy hilts. I love those.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing. The other thing that's really special to me is the Zahn novels, the original 3 Zahn novels in the 90s, where it felt like Star Wars was coming back. I still, to this day, see those as some of the greatest Star Wars stuff that's ever been written. And I don't care what people say. To me, those are canonized. I think those are just excellent stories. Those 3 original books. Absolutely. Next, after that is the West End Games role-playing game that started in 87 and ran through 94, 96, something like that. The West End role-playing game was such a wealth of information. And then to find out that George Lucas handed Timothy Zahn those source books to help build the details of his novels brings it all together. So, and then finally, just as a Gravity's a harsh mistress.
Not the same thing. Not as cool as what you've got, Steph. But I'm sorry, Michael.
I was just giving him a reference point. But this is kind of the same stuff. This is cool. I like this stuff too.
You know what, guys? Just you talk amongst. Hold on a second.
I'm sorry.
He's about to one up both y'all right now.
Oh.
He's gonna have.
I can't wait. This is great. This is great.
The prop store, latest sold $400,000.
After he finishes that, Seth, I saw a comment up here that I would love to get you to talk about, and Michael as well. Yeah. I didn't even know what articulation was. I'm going to say this while I put his headset back on. I didn't know what articulation was until Michael taught me in a video. We had a comment up here from I can't find it, but it was fast food fitness. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the toys coming out now? I'm going to let Michael finish, and then we're going to segue right to that.
Okay, so I'm going to finish here in a second, but I just got to ask. So, are we prioritizing this, or are we prioritizing this?
Oh my God!
I just want to be clear.
I'm going to say yellow.
Okay,
that's just me.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Hey, when I saw the yellow saber in the last movie, I thought of you, Michael.
Everybody started pinging me. They were like, "Dude, you're not gonna believe this," and I'm going, "What is it?" Yeah, I even went to Dragon Con a few years ago as a joke and went to Ultra Saber's booth. They have a big booth there, and I told them, I said, "Make me a saber where the default color that comes on is yellow," and they were like, "Okay." And it was a Graflex style hilt and all that stuff. And then I walked around in my Bespin Luke Skywalker costume, and when people would say, "Can you take a photo?" I'd turn the lightsaber on. And the guys that were our age just laughed their butts off. They were like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Yes.
But anyway,
everybody else was probably like, huh?
Yeah, they were like, "Why is that the wrong color?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it was one of the ones where you can change the color, So I was like, "Okay, hold on, I change it." But anyway, the last thing I would say, you've got your Zahn novels. You've got the RPG, the West End role-playing game books. But then the last thing, and this is kind of more broad, anything to me that was involving X-Wing combat and X-Wing adventure was huge for me. So all the way back to the original arcade game, the X-Wing PC game was massive.
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter?
Yes, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and then all the Rogue Squadron books and games. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the TIE Fighter one that was just TIE Fighter where you're the Empire.
All of that. Yes, that whole universe of stuff, which that was like I know the phrase now is that was my jam, but that was my thing. That was my wheelhouse.
If they ever have an updated X-Wing series like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, that will be a show on this network.
Yeah.
All right, so I actually have a PlayStation 4, and I bought the VR headset literally only to be able to do the X-Wing VR mission on Battlefront. I don't know if you guys have done it, but Coach came down to my house and put the VR headset on and did the whole mission. And
after I got past the claustrophobia of being in the cockpit, I'm good.
Yeah, because the cockpit comes. I don't know. Have either of you guys played it?
No.
Oh man,
it's amazing.
It was worth every cent that I spent just to do that one single mission. If they would redo the TIE Fighter X-Wing series in VR with that, man, I would literally lose my job because I'd be at home playing that all the time. Right. I'd never go to work.
I would be too, because I just played Vader's whatever on the Oculus.
Oh,
a friend of mine brought it over and I played it. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. I said that right before I ran into one of my display cases. I couldn't see. But I mean, if they did like an X-Wing version of that, you'd never see me again. Yeah. I mean, I would just be, I'm in space, So
hey, I had a question for you, Michael. You mentioned it. The good dovetail with your Christmas gift. Do you like the arcade, the one-up? Is it good?
Oh, I love it.
I've heard great reviews of it.
Yeah, it's great. I know that there, some people say, well, like, oh, well, I'm going to upgrade the yoke to like one of the replicated Atari yokes or whatever. Yeah. But the yoke is the same. Like it says Atari on it. It's for home use, but it looks exactly the same. It's the same size. The only thing that's smaller is the cabinet around it. But once you're in front of it, none of that matters. It's like you think, oh, it's so short. Well, it comes with a riser that says Star Wars on it. You can select from the 3 original arcade games. It's very user-friendly. And the simulation, I assume it's a Raspberry Pi based system. I don't know. But the simulation of the game is equal to or superior to anything I emulated for my PC, you know, but it's yet flawless and dedicated. And that's, you can even replicate the scan lines for Return of the Jedi on the monitor. So like in the settings, you can say, I want clear pixels, or you can say, I want CRT simulated.
Like the vector graphics and stuff.
Well, the vector graphics for Star Wars and Empire, you can actually adjust the brightness of the vectors.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
For Return of the Jedi, which is the pixel-based game, you can simulate the CRT scan lines that would have been on the arcade machine. It's great. It's great.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it's got the light up marquee on it and everything, right?
It does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's definitely on my list of things to buy this year.
It's a lot of fun. It really
I got room for one more arcade 1-up in my spare bedroom. I got the 4-player Ninja Turtle one, which is awesome. I love it. But that Star Wars one is the one that's going to be going in the other empty spot I got in there.
Yeah. I only have room for one more, and I'm holding out hope that they'll do the Konami X-Men. And if they do that, that'll be the last. It's the second and last one I get. Yeah.
The 4-player arcade X-Men. Yeah, I actually have that on. I downloaded that game off the PlayStation Store on PS3.
Yep.
I'm sitting here getting jealous listening to you guys talking about the arcade helmets. If they ever make Star Wars Trilogy Arcade, I'll get that immediately.
But see, here's the thing, man. Like it's all give and take. So like right now, since the live stream has started, I've been jealous of the MOC Bespin Luke that you've got behind you. But what I'm saying with that is I could have had one of those, but I opted for the arcade 1-up instead. So it's all about what you choose in the moment, you know?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Coach has a hole over his left shoulder there, 2 whole shelves stacked full of MOCs right there.
Yeah.
They're not for sale, Seth.
It's fine.
And over here, like Michael was showing off his shelves, over here I have every Star Wars Lucasfilm game from the 90s. Wait,
nice.
Over here,
other one.
right here.
Yeah.
Right there. Every single one of them in the boxes.
But
it's like just such amazing artwork, guys. They just display so well. I love them. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, guys, I don't want to. We'd keep you here forever if we could, but we're pretty much going to start settling down and wrapping this thing up.
We are in our 40s, so
absolutely, it's going to be bedtime soon. I'm going to give you guys like anything y'all want to say about what you've got going on. I'll just kind of hand it over to you, and you can kind of plug what you guys are doing. And
I do want to say Michael's live stream today with his charity and proceeds for his super chats and everything going to the Australia brush fire disaster down there was really commendable.
Thank you.
So you guys definitely go check out his live stream video from today, and he actually has links to the description on how you can donate to that charity.
Yeah, it's really important. And after I had the whole sail barge thing happen last year around May, I got to know a lot of the Star Wars community in Melbourne. Personally, we all went out to dinner, and I brought a bunch of people together. You know, we planned it ahead of time, and they're really, really good people, and they're passionate Star Wars collectors. They took me to a local toy show, which is in the video, and I bought a Bespin Luke there overseas. I assume it's Toll Toys. I don't know, but they're great people, and what they're going through right now, they really need our help. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you just said give and take just a few minutes ago, and it's all about perspective. And that's something that we just have to keep in mind, all of us, is that we love Star Wars, but there's a whole lot of things in life that are way more important than that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You're right.
Absolutely. Seth?
Yes, sir.
What do you think, man? What you got going on, and how's the toy business, and anything you want to say before we let you guys leave? We're your prisoner now.
No. I appreciate you having me. Our thing is, for the last 3 years, we kind of started doing all the Facebook Live stuff with our sales. I've always kind of likened it to like a QVC of Star Wars or kind of thing. They used to do that back in the day, you know, on QVC. They'd have Mark Hamill on there with Steve Sansweet and so on, all this. We kind of do the same thing. So that's kind of what our mainstay has been for several years. So that's still going well and getting better and better and always getting more cool stuff in. So that's really, I mean, that's outside of that. I mean, it's just kind of just a slow and steady progress, and appreciate everybody that chimes in. And like I said, that's where I live on Facebook usually, and I do some YouTube stuff. I do simulcast our live feeds weekly on Facebook and YouTube, so people can come over there and check it out if they want. If nothing else, it's fun to see and see some cool stuff, and you know,
absolutely,
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if I can just add into that what Seth is saying, because for anybody listening, it's not difficult, but it's always a risk when you go out there as a buyer and you're online. Not so much on eBay, but eBay has its own frustrations. But when you're trying to get away from the eBay system, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to find people outside of eBay who are reputable. So for my own personal experience, over and over and over again, I cannot highly recommend Seth enough for that. Like, if you are into vintage Star Wars or Star Wars in general, because he gets other things coming in as well, Seth is such a reputable treasure to have in our community. So if any of you guys are collectors and you're watching and you're wondering, make this guy a bookmark on your browser. Like, seriously, get involved in his Facebook group. Like, he is constantly doing great stuff, great sales, quality merchandise, everything. So I'm going to shut up now, but I am totally biased in this regard because I've been burned a few times by other people. But Seth is what keeps me keep the faith with all this.
Let me piggyback on what Michael's saying. I could not agree more.
Mm-hmm.
I have had deals with Seth. And so, Seth, you mentioned yourself, Steve Sansweet and QVC.
Yeah.
You have always had that feel. We have always gotten that feel from you.
Yeah.
And here's one thing that you do that makes it really work, in my opinion. When I jump on there and comment or buy something, you make me feel like I'm right there with you. You say my name, I've got your attention. You're like, Coach Groves? Eddie Groves. And I'm like, yeah, Seth remembers who I am. I didn't even need this EV99.
Oh, I do remember that, I think. Yeah.
And I was like, I love Seth. I have to get that EV99. I need it.
I appreciate that.
I'm buying this EV99.
Yeah.
So definitely, there is no better seller of vintage Star Wars than Seth Hastings.
And he's also really good at getting, if you like modern, Seth can get you some modern too. I was about to say before this ended, because I didn't want to type it in Facebook later. Seth, when that 40th anniversary Black Series for Empire comes out, if you can secure me the Bespin Luke, not the Dagobah Luke, not the Hoth Luke, I don't care about the Snowspeeder Luke, but if you can get me one of those Bespin Lukes, I want to buy it from you. Okay, I don't want to. So anyway,
all the new stuff I try to, all the newer product I try to pre-order. So all that stuff, I usually have pretty good stock of that. But yeah, for sure, man.
Awesome. Thank you.
I had a quick question for you, Seth. So the new Hasbro retro line.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of that stuff, and did you see a lot of people trying to get that? Because I know when me and Coach went out trying to get that at the Target stores, it was slim pickings, and they were gone. So it seemed like people were eating them up, but I don't really.
Yeah,
Michael's feeling. I saw Michael's video on the retros.
To answer your question, I mean, yes, we know it's kind of one of those things that we get solicited dealers or whatever ahead of time for that stuff, and you put your orders in, and if you're lucky to get them, it's always a gamble of like, well, do you order too much or not enough? So I just split the difference. But yes, they sold well, and then obviously Target had the prototype Vader thing, and that, or whoever it was, and that went really well. So that was actually really smart, in my opinion, by Hasbro and Disney rather, because they have probably been struggling a little bit to get the older collectors involved, because maybe they don't like Black Series. So what's a way to do that? Create a vintage package that looks the same, slightly different figure configurations, but kind of get you back in that nostalgic feel. I wasn't really for like the weathered, like painted look of the whole thing, but I understand what they were going for. But it was still a cool thing for them to do. But it was better than, at least they were kind of connecting like the dots to the past, kind of.
Yeah.
Somewhere up, you can kind of see him. Let's see if I can get this hand thing right. Hold on. Right? No, there we go. Oh, that's too much. Tarkin is standing right there at the edge of the top of the, of the Death Star.
So you got one from the board game?
I got the board game one. Okay. Yeah, and he's all right. He's all right. It's just the other ones don't hold a candle to the vintage counterparts. So
now what about the Jabba's sail barge that they did? Did you guys get that or
Michael?
Loaded question. Do we have time to go into this?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So,
because I had the opportunity to jump in on that, and I didn't think I didn't think it would get enough money for them to do it, so I didn't. Now I kind of regret it.
This sounds so premeditated, but I know it's not. It's funny.
I remember Michael doing something, but it's been so long.
So they announced the barge, and I would have loved to have had a barge, like as a thing. I would have loved, because I used to fill in the gaps of my vehicle collection with Power of the Force 2 before I got all my vintage stuff. And I've got the Darth Vader Power of the Force 2 TIE Fighter here, because it's so different from, it's closer to the thing. Now I don't have it in the case, but I've got it. And I thought I'd love to buy a barge. And then they said, well, you can only get it online through this sort of Kickstarter kind of thing. And I said, nah, you're a $4 billion company. I'm not kickstarting any product you make. This is crazy. Yeah. And I went online and I said as much. I said, I am not doing this. I said, you guys do what you want. I said, but this is crazy. I said, I'm not kickstarting a product for the biggest toy maker in the world. I am not doing that. So the story's not over. So I guess it was a year later, 10 months later, whatever it was. And I get a phone call. See, I'm Gen X. I say phone call. I say it all the time. I get a message. Sorry. I always say call. I got a phone call. I get a message from a guy on my Patreon. And I've known his name for a little while. Recognized. He says his name was Brent. And he said, hey, look, he said, you're the first person I thought I'd reach out to. And keep in mind, I got a lot of flack from people over saying that I wasn't going to back HasLab. Like I was like, this. So put that in the background. So he said, I live in Australia. I live in Melbourne, and I'm a big Star Wars collector. And he said, I usually can get things postal forwarded. Like if they're only sold in the US, I can usually get them post forwarded to Australia. He said, I ordered the barge. I knew it was a risk because it was only being shipped in the US. He said, but between the time that they ended the refund window and the release of the actual item, they changed the dimensions of the box and doubled the weight. And so now the postal forwarder won't send it to me. And he said, can you please, he said, I just need an address to send it to in the US or else they're going to throw it away. He said, and I don't want it thrown away. He said, I don't want any money from you. He said, you can run over it with your car if you want. He said, I know you don't want this thing. He said, but I just don't want it to get thrown away. Maybe you can sell it for the channel. You can do some good with it, whatever you want to do. I said, first of all, I said, I'm not going to take this as a donation. I said, but I am going to take it to safeguard it for you until we figure out how to get it to you. And I said, so I'll give you my address. And it showed up, and it was a 5-foot box by 18 inches square and 32 pounds. And so I've got it standing here in the studio, and I do this video appealing to my audience saying, hey guys, we've got a fellow collector and friend named Brent who's trying to get this thing to Australia. Can you guys give me some advice? Like, I'm looking into options, but if you guys have a way. I had people coming in saying, I'm in the military. I live in Alaska. I can put this on a C-130. I mean, people were being real. They were being real helpful. Wow. Like they were trying to, I'm headed to the Air Force Base in Australia. Well, anyway, it was like 36 hours after I dropped that video. This guy that I'd never heard of before, who was a lot bigger than me on YouTube, comes out with a hit piece that's like 45 minutes long, where he does the whole threadboard conspiracy theory that I have made up a person named Brent who isn't real. And I'm trying to keep the barge for myself because I bought it, but I don't want to be looked at as a hypocrite because I said I didn't want it a year ago. Wow. You can't make this stuff up. So I start losing a few subscribers. I start getting yelled at on Twitter. And I'm like, what is going on with this? Like, this is nuts. So I finally had Brent and G.I. Joe Berg and all these other people doing video clips saying, yeah, Brent's real. He's on our podcast all the time. Here he is. Brent's like, hey guys, I'm real, I'm Brent, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, and the guy comes back and he says, it's easy to get an actor to just be Brent.
Oh God.
So at this point, I'm incensed. I'm getting beaten up online. And finally, I kind of cornered the guy and I said, look, here's the deal. I said, he accused me of doxing him at one point, which I didn't do because his name and his face are in all of his videos. He was using every dirty trick in the book to get my videos about this thing hindered, pulled down, all this kind of stuff. So finally, I got all that ironed out and I checked out all the pricing. And I was like, okay, it's going to cost, because Brent was already $900 in the hole on this adventure. That's why he was just saying, I just want it to do some good. I don't, So I said, all right, let me look into this. It was $1,300 to ship it.
Oof.
It was also $1,300 to fly to Melbourne. And I thought, well, if I ship it, it could get stuck at the port in Sydney and get caught up in customs again. If I fly it there myself, at least I'm with it the whole time. Never been to Australia before, but hey, no time like the present.
So I got free trip.
Yeah, so it's not free.
Yeah, not free, but a good opportunity.
Yeah, so I got my camera, got all my equipment ready, planned the whole thing, filmed it, and you can go on RetroBlasting now and watch RetroBlasting Brings the Barge, which I released sometime in June, and it chronicles the whole thing of me taking the barge to Brent in Melbourne, Australia, and then That's meeting great. all the people there. Yeah. So.
Mr. Producer, RetroBlasting brings the barge.
RetroBlasting brings the barge. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. I'm going to watch that tonight.
Thank you.
So, on the other front of the newer toys, are either you guys into like the Sideshow collectibles or Hot Toys? Because
I know Seth is.
Because I know those are super expensive, and I know there's a market for them, and the quality of them is very, very high. But a lot of people just don't have money to spend on Hot Toys.
I'll say from my perspective, yes, I think they're awesome. They're cool. I know Michael has expressed in other videos because I've watched I probably watched all his videos as well because I used to sit at my shop and just watch RetroBlasting on my television all the time. So I mean, literally, I've gone through it. So I kind of know his headspace on this. He likes them too. The problem I see that collectors have with them is not about they are expensive. They're not overly ridiculously expensive, especially if you're a vintage guy or gal. But what it is those things, if you want those things, the display ability is great, but it takes up a lot of space.
A lot of space.
I mean, and that's the big thing. They're 6 scale, so they're like they're very probably 12 to 14 inches tall. So they basically you can fit 2 of those in like an IKEA like detolf like one shelf, and that's it. Like I mean, you are like and for 3 3/4 figures, you could put a whole damn line in that shelf.
That's right.
So it's not just. I always say people, it's like. Collecting is half the battle. Displaying is the bigger half of everything. Yeah. What are you going to do with it? I mean, so I love them. They're great. Sideshow and Hot Toys, they're meticulously like the detail is ridiculous at the clothing and whatnot. But I think the major setback is not always the price to some. It's just the displayability of it.
Yep. I totally agree. And also the fact that like Lego, once one of them goes out of production, the price on them skyrockets. So like they told me the last year or whatever it was, they said, hey, Michael, did you hear that Hot Toys and Sideshow are coming out with a Hoth Leia finally? And I went, yeah, but Bespin Luke is now like $1,000 on eBay. I'm not about to jump into that because if I have Hoth Leia, I'm not going to have her without Bespin Luke and Bespin Han. I just ain't doing it. So,
That was actually the first, if memory serves, that was the first Hot Toys Star Wars licensed figure they did was Bespin Luke.
Yeah.
And that's, it's still, there's like 2 of them, but yeah, they're crazy expensive. They look good, but I mean, like, that's kind of getting into insanity land, but it's kind of like posters and everything else. When that stuff goes out of print and they don't make it anymore, it's just basic supply and demand.
Yep. Well, let's talk about that. That's great, Seth. They're too expensive for me, but here's a toy that I can afford. And you guys recognize what this is. This is a Kenner mail-away box.
Emperor.
And there is that's what you would think. That's what that's what a lay person like myself would normally have, right? Well, no, it is not an Emperor. And this is our giveaway item for the night.
Oh, nice.
So we have a Forlom baggied.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
We have the Forlom baggied and the Kenner catalog inside. So it is a complete piece. and this is our giveaway item for the night.
It's a very nice giveaway.
Thank you. So everybody in the chat, and even you two, you get in the giveaway. I know you want it. So if you will just comment the number 1, Mr. Producer, they have 2 minutes to comment the number 1. And in next Saturday during our pre-show, the very last thing in the pre-show, about 6:55-ish p.m. Central Time, we will reveal the winner for this giveaway. Nick and I will make a video to show. We'll be using random.org to select the winner, and good luck on that.
Yeah, nice. And while everybody is, because there's a 30-second delay, so while everybody's typing in whether they want to be involved in the giveaway or not, we were supposed to be having our Seth and Michael. I don't know if you guys know this, but Coach and I have done a documentary on the sequel trilogy. We got a trailer out on our page. It's been a 7-month project. And we show all aspects from the time Lucasfilm was sold to Disney all the way up to present day today, Rise of Skywalker. So we use a lot of YouTube personalities. We got a narrator, a script that Coach wrote and that we went over, and we're supposed to be releasing it next week, but we're pushing it back a week just to make sure that it is as good as we can get it before we release it. So
to bring that home, here we are in our 40s and we're still loving it, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even though we don't like the new movies, we found something fun to do with the new movies, and that's to do a documentary.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, Coach has really put in a lot of work on this, way more than I have. And it is, and I'm not trying to. People will think I'm being biased, but it is very professionally done. I mean, it is like it's top notch. Like,
it looks like something from RETROBLASTING.
Hey, look, guys, I am not good with graphics. I just kind of make it work. And my godsend lately has been Dave Song, who came on board sometime last year, and he volunteered his services. He said, "I want to help this community, and I want to really do a facelift on your graphic at the beginning, for all the different versions." And then he stopped and he was like, "I'm not insulting you, am I?" And I went, "No, you're not insulting me at all. I've been kind of just doing this like I would doodle on my Trapper Keeper as a kid, except in Photoshop. I could really use some. I mean, I can draw, but not on a computer. I can only draw on paper. And then once I get it into a computer, I still can't do anything with it because I don't know. I'm just now learning After Effects in a way that goes beyond basics, and even that's alien to me. So that doesn't shock me that somebody is I have no doubt.
Let me say this too, because I mean I think this kind of goes a lot, and I know that you guys, especially Michael and Coach there, and Nicholas, different than what I do, because it's more business related. But the people in the casual YouTube subscriber, this is not a knock on them, but they have no idea the amount of time it takes to produce videos. I don't care if you're a professional or not, the hardware you have to have, and that's just the technical and the actual bringing together of what you're trying to focus in and write scripts and all that stuff. It really is. I mean, for it's a labor of love. And I think people that would think about it from that end of it, when you guys put out content, would look at it from that perspective, and maybe they would be so quick not to push the bash button, because if you didn't enjoy doing it, you wouldn't be doing it. So that's a credit to the kind of the focusing of one's will. Is like if Michael or whoever did not care about it and just wanted to start arguments all day, that's one thing, but that's not what it is. He's legitimately trying to put good content out there, and then the internet breeds trolls, and that's what it is. But people don't understand it takes a lot of time. It's not like he just turns a live camera on and just goes to town. Those videos take a lot of time, money, and effort, and things that he doesn't get really, a pittance compensated for.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well, if you put content out there, the negativity is forthcoming.
Yeah.
And Michael kind of said it a couple days ago to wrap up his video, which we used tonight in our production. He was directly talking to the knee-jerk reactors.
Mm-hmm.
How about you try to befriend somebody who doesn't think like you.
Right.
So,
That's right.
And that's something that we're doing here at this channel, guys, which is a very young channel. We just started a few months ago, but one thing that we want to do, Nick and I, is to show those people how to react. You know, you may not agree with me, I may not agree with you, but we're gonna show you kindness and respect and love.
Yeah,
because we all love Star Wars and everything else too.
And if you're a Star Wars fan, I mean, typically in most cases we can find common ground somewhere.
Yeah.
No doubt.
You know, Seth and I are a great example of two people who are diametrically opposed in one regard, but we're friends anyway. I really prefer mirrored aviators, and he prefers the more traditional, you know, dark aviators, but yet we're friends. See, so it all works out. I mean, it's all good.
I was like, where are you going with this?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm with Seth on the aviators. Mine are not here close to me, but yeah, they're very similar.
I'll rock the Tom Cruise next time. How about that?
You do that.
Speaking of that, Maverick movie coming out, it looks good.
Oh yeah, it does. It looks very, very good.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on, and it means a whole lot to us, and we are fans of both of you. Just being transparent and honest with you, we're fans of both of you. If we can ever do anything to help you guys with anything, don't hesitate to ask.
Okay.
So
Right, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate the invite. This has been
Yes,
fun.
sir. Yes, sir. We'd love to have you guys back on sometime.
Yeah.
So,
Let me know. I'm free. So
okay.
Same. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, give your families our best, and we'll see y'all next time, guys.
Yep.
Thank y'all so
Adios.
much.
Take care.
All right.
Thanks.
Such awesome guys. So we just did our giveaway, and let me just bring it back on home real quick. This show, our Saturday night show, and this is not our show. This is our show. This is the people in the chats as well. This is our subs. You know, we love you guys, and this is a place where we're talking about why we love Star Wars. And I hope that you enjoyed the conversation that we just had with those guys. Seth, no better seller of Star Wars, and Michael is a titan in Star Wars and fandom. So that was just awesome.
If you guys are into collectibles, vintage toys, definitely check out those guys' channels. If you guys are looking for something specific, hit Seth up on his Facebook group, on his YouTube channel, and I'm sure if he doesn't have it at some point in time, he'll come across it. You know, so very, very, very good guys in the toy world. Highly recommended from me and Coach here.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So one of the things that let's do this. I've got an idea. You know, since we are, you know, this is our show. You guys saw our 2020 production broadcast. If anybody would like to come on the channel right now and tell us your Star Wars story and what you love about it, we don't mind. We would love for a couple of you guys to come in and you just tell us why you love Star Wars too. Maybe you had a thought that we didn't cover. Maybe it's not toys for you or even the movies necessarily. Maybe it's the comic books or whatever. So if you have something that you would like to say with us, let us know here in chat, and Mr. Producer will get with you and send you a link. And we would love to have you on. Nick, if you don't mind, I'm going to step away for just a moment and run to the restroom. And that was real professional, wasn't it? And I will be right back. You just keep this thing going, and I'll be right back.
No, that's fine. So I know, J-Man, I know that you were at work, but I did email you the link just now. I don't know if you're available. I don't know if you're back home or whatnot. But if you wanted to jump in here, and if anybody else has anything that they want to say that's related to the topic here, you know, you're more than welcome to come on. So let's see here. Let's go through some of these chats here. Let's Let's see. I was hoping it was like Happy 2020 from Mr. Pete channel. I was hoping it was like a trivia question, like the Emperor's name in the third draft was Kaz Dashit or something like that. I'm guessing you're talking about the giveaway there. Yep, Analog Toys. Thanks for stopping by. You can definitely go back if you can. I know you came in late. You can definitely go back and watch this from the beginning when we started talking with Seth and Michael. And yes, it takes a very long time to produce videos. If you produce videos, so you definitely know all about that. I know there's been times I've spent several hours on just a small snippet, of a video, and it was something that we didn't even use, So and let me give a shout out to Tommy and Mexican Iron Man that's been hanging with everybody in the chat, sending out links. Me and Coach really appreciate y'all's hard work and helping us out with the channel here. You guys definitely make our jobs a lot easier. Trey Chester in the house. E. Stevens in the house. Thank you guys for being here. Yep, this is actually the most people that we have had in a live stream, which this has only been our 4th or 5th live stream, I think. And guys, Robert Pearson, we are definitely going to be sharing some stuff from him here in the very near future. He sent me so many cool pictures of stuff that he has built, props, all that sort of stuff. I sent him to Coach this morning after I saw him. Indiana Jones stuff, like we're gonna have like another stream where we're literally showing all the stuff that he does and makes at his house, and this stuff looks authentic.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
So we're gonna bring in one of our newer subs, J-Man. What's going on, J-Man?
And we are a fan of J-Man. You guys go check J-Man out. J-Man covers comic books. We'll touch on Star Wars every once in a while. Has a very good channel. And J-Man, thank you for being here with us, man. I was excited about trying to get you on here.
Yeah.
And I greatly appreciate what you did on your channel the other day. Just the kind words that you said about Nick and myself. So we're like rubber and you're like glue. Whatever you said, bounces off us and sticks to you. So tell us, why Star Wars? How did it start? What do you love about it?
All right. Well, first, I just want to say that thanks so much for having me on, guys. I'm like super impressed with your work and your channel and all the videos you do. I really appreciate the honesty and just being yourselves and stuff. And I think that's very important to connect with other fans in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you can hear me perfectly. I'm in a.
Oh yeah, we're
good. Kidnapped by. Yeah. I've been kidnapped by sequel trilogy fans, and I'm in this weird room here. I'll tell you, for me, when Jedi came out in the theater, my mom kind of let me skip school for it, and the whole family went out, and we kind of went to go watch it in the theater, and I had seen the Star Wars and Empire, and but not in the theater. And I saw Jedi, and I was blown away. Firstly, Jabba the Hutt to me was just one of the greatest creations I'd ever seen, and he still is for me. Just scary, creepy, weird, but so just interesting. We left the theater, and I was like, I must buy this, and we couldn't find the toy. And the first Jedi toy I got was Bib Fortuna.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? He's close to Jabba, so I thought, wow, that's just so awesome to have. And just chatting with people about Star Wars. And the thing is that it sort of transcends, language. The good guys are the good guys. You can visually tell that they're the good guys. You don't have to speak English. You know what I mean? Like the bad guys are the bad guys. You can see who they are. It translates so well to anyone. So you can communicate. This is why Star Wars fans from around the world have come together. There's not really any other franchises that really do that. Like Doctor Who is a little bit more British oriented, Star Wars is a little bit more, North American, whatever. Star Trek. Sorry, Star Trek is more, but Star Wars brings everyone together. It's for the family. Like people keep saying it's for kids, but it's not really for kids. It's for everybody. I'm tired of this. Oh, it's just for little kids. Who cares? It's not, Yeah. My mom got something out of it because she had the romance, and there was a little bit of, there's just like some drama there too, right? And there was some scary aspects, there was heroic aspects, there was like, obviously science fiction, fantasy elements as well. It was like, we knew that the Tusken Raiders, they were bad guys. It wasn't like in Star Trek where, some Klingons are good, some are bad. It wasn't like that. It was like archetypes, Everybody wanted to own a droid, they were your friends, they helped you, and just, I don't know. It was just something special. I don't know, like, Lucas hit upon it or whatever to make all these things merge together. It wasn't just science fiction or just drama. It was both together. It was fantasy. It was action, excitement. There's tender moments too, even with Han and Leia and Jedi, where he's like, he goes, oh, I'll just step away. You're in love with him, I know. And I'm just going to step away. She's like, no, he's my brother. And you could just see on his face, he's like, oh, this is great, and you live those moments with these characters, and I think that's what's really special about Star Wars. So at least for me, it's all of that put together, characters and the technology. Obviously, like some people are going to watch and just be like, wow, that was a cool movie, but that's okay too. My grandfather didn't speak English. He was Croatian. He watched it. He's like, oh, I like Star Wars, and it's like perfect, right? Because he didn't need to understand every nuance of everything. He just loved it just for the visuals and the story. And he's like, oh, I like these two characters. I like that Luke Skywalker fellow. You know what I mean? And that was enough to transcend the screen, and that's what was so important about Star Wars in general, I think, at least.
I love it. Absolutely. So it was basically, if I had to sum up what you just said, my friend, it's just all, what's the word I'm trying to think of, Nick? Help me out. This is where I need you. It's I
don't know where you're going.
Earlier we talked about compartmentalizing it, and you just touched on so many things. It's like we're all
whatever the word is.
I don't know. But you talked about the toys. You talked about the moments. It's not just watching, yes, Mexican Iron Man. It's all universal. No, it's not really what I was thinking. But yeah, that'll work. There's just so many things. I remember you mentioned watching Return of the Jedi. I remember after watching Return of the Jedi, all encompassing. That's it. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. I needed that. Good assist there. That's what I was trying to say. I remember coming home from Return of the Jedi, J-Man, and dropping the Emperor in a bowl of ravioli. And I was like, no. And I had to like get it off of his face and stuff. So yeah, it's just, I remember sitting in my first grade classroom, imagining, sitting there on my desk. I drew an X-Wing on my desk, got in trouble, and I'm sitting there dreaming of walking out of the school, getting in an X-Wing and flying away. Like I could still see the visual image in my mind, in my mind's eye of that moment. So I don't know, man, like it's just it had such a profound impact on us. That's why we want to share that and have this be a place where all of us can come here and do that. And what you just did, we want you to come back on here some other time. And hey, I got another thought,
Sure.
And so how much Star Wars stuff do you do like outside of YouTube? I know you do a lot of comic book stuff. So how much Star Warsing does the J-Man do on a weekly basis?
Well, I have obviously I have all the movies, cartoons, some of the books. For the vintage collection, I have every Star Wars figure except for Blue, Snaggle, and Leia.
That's
for
great.
Empire Strikes Back, I have every figure. So Empire, I've got every vintage Kenner Star Wars figure. For Jedi, I don't have the Power of the Force and some of the other couple of guys that are a little bit tougher to get. As a kid, I had Slave One. I still have my Boba Fett, my childhood ones. So yeah, I collect a lot of Star Wars stuff. It's my two main things are He-Man, which is where J-Man comes from. My J is actually the battle armor He-Man with the crack. Remember when you punch the thing, it would crack, and that.
Yeah,
I had that figure. That one and Skeletor.
I saw you say that in the chat earlier, and I was like, yeah.
Yes,
with the battle damage.
We had a picture of He-Man toys, like one of their advertisements in the show tonight.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, but yeah, no, Star Wars those are my two favorite, and vintage Star Wars. I do buy some of the newer figures if they look cool, some of the Black Series. I'm not going to deny the characters look good for this new stuff. Like, I mean, the troopers are cool, I guess, whatever. Some good cool stuff has come out, so I've been a sucker and bought it. But the vintage stuff is really where it's at. It just takes me back to my childhood playing with those figures. Yeah. And there was something more special because when figures were made to be played with, and Michael from RETROBLASTING always talks about this, they're meant to be played with when you get a connection to them. Now I feel that they're getting slightly into this collector market with, like, the Hot Toys are amazing, but really I'm going to pay a few $100s, put it in a case, and then that's the end of it. It doesn't connect to me. And I'll give you this analogy, and I think this is interesting. I just thought of this the other day. My grandparents, obviously, we put them in an old age home, and they passed away a couple of years ago. But in the old age home, you only got like maybe a shelf or two. And I started to think of this analogy, which is getting ready to go into that place, and you need a shelf, and you only have one shelf. Tell me the toys or the items that you're going to put on that. It'd probably be my Luke Skywalker in the black, like the Jedi outfit, and like Bib Fortuna, maybe Boba Fett, and then maybe a couple of He-Mans. And that is what I want to treasure, and that's what I want to really keep and maintain. I know it's cool to be a collector, and I'm a big time nerdy collector. I buy so many X-Men toys, and it's crazy. But I mean, when you come down to it, you're like, those are the really important ones, and Star Wars is going to be like on the top shelf. And I think really that's what a lot of the fans want. And it's tough when you see, and there's some people who get angry and be like, oh, the Star Wars, or they get upset or whatever. But remember, you still got your toys, you still got your movies. That's kind of where it's at, and that's the positivity of it, right?
Yeah, what happened has happened, and now it's time. Yeah. If the last couple of years for you has been a negative experience, it's time to move on. Mm-hmm. And the horse is dead. Get off. That's kind of. And look, I am talking to Coach as much as I am anyone else. Yeah. You know what I mean? And here's the thing: if people want to continue to run their YouTube channels and bash Disney Star Wars, that is totally fine. And I will tune in and watch those from time to time.
And if there's anything major that they come out and do that is really against what we grew up with, we'll speak out against it also. But we're definitely not going to build our channel on that. We want to try to get back to the love of Star Wars, the toys, the movie, original movies, prequels, just everybody that loves anything and everything about Star Wars.
Absolutely.
I think Michael had a great video where he posted a positive thing about every movie. I don't know if you guys had seen that. It was I saw positive thing.
I saw it.
And you know what? That was fine, right? Like, and there you go. You don't. We're upset the newer movies haven't lived up, not even close, right? But if you look at something like the Asset or the Child or Baby Yoda is what they're saying, he's only been around for a couple of months and he's gotten so much positivity.
Yeah.
Star Wars isn't dead. It's still coming, right? We'll accept new characters. We'll accept the Mandalorian. We'll accept Cara Dune, right? Cara Dune has become something now, right? Strong female woman played by Gina Carano, who's kick-ass in real life as well too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're open for new characters. We want it. We want to spend money. We want our kids to watch it. Like, I mean, this is what we want. Give it to us. I mean, this is the easiest franchise of all time, in my opinion. I don't see how you can really mess this up except for ruining things that have come before. Who wants to see Luke? You know, you don't want to see Luke tarnished. It's better to not even, you know, they should have just set the series 30 years after Luke passed away, and the first scene could have been, you know, a Skywalker celebration to remember the good old days, and then here's new characters. You know, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
There's a so Robert Meyer Burnett did a commentary for our documentary that we're going to be releasing, and he says some stuff in that which I'm not going to spoil. I'll wait till you guys watch the documentary, but he nails so much of what you just said on the head. Exactly. You know,
Perfect. Yes.
I'm so ready for there to be a good Star Wars and for us to be able to praise it like we did with the Cobra Kai series when it came out.
We're yearning for it.
Oh,
yeah.
God, Cobra Kai is so awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But
Me and
like
Coach both love Cobra Kai.
I like what J-Man is saying here, though, because no matter what happens moving forward, they cannot take away the Star Wars that we love, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
I will always be able to go back and look at my toys, read my books, watch my movies. It will never die for me.
And we even still have the original trilogy, even after George Lucas changed it.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got
that's
it
exactly
too,
right.
yeah.
That's right, Trey Chester. That's right. We got the original.
Yeah. Which speaking of, Michael was saying during our conversation about, I guess, a group of people that's doing a 4K edit of the original trilogy in its original content. I'm not aware of these people that are doing this, but I want to know more.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know if you are, J-Man.
4K. I am. You can get 4K 77 and 4K 83 for some reason. 4K 80, which is obviously Empire, that's not around, but you can find them through means, which may include
I got you.
people with a patch on their eye.
I have those memes here.
Yeah, so if you find any of those guys on a ship or anything like that, you can find those things. I don't know how they did it, but it's bloody fantastic. I mean, it's craziness. It's the real trilogy in 4K. I don't actually have a 4K TV, so I can't prove that it's like proper 4K, but it looks pretty dynamic, and like the files are quite large. It's like they're in like I think it's like 70, 80 gigs a movie. So you could probably transfer those onto some kind of a 4K disc or a Blu-ray disc, I suppose. And I think Michael's got them. He made his own covers or something. So just search 4K 77 and that'll bring you, I think it's Team -1 or something like that.
Trey's telling us right here, Team -1.
Okay, 4K 77 and 4K 83 are available now by Team -1. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. If we can leave that up for just a minute.
Oh, yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Just so everybody, if anybody wants to screenshot or write that down or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check those out because I do have a 4K TV and a 4K player, but I don't have a 4K.
Such a braggart.
I don't have a 4K burner to be able to burn it onto a disc. All I have is a USB drive with USB 3.1. And when I try playing a 4K digital file off of that, it doesn't like it, and it is all jacked up.
It won't. A USB stick really can't accept a file that's over 4 gigs, and it has to be under 4 gig for it to play. And on a drive, if you got like one of those, like a terabyte or a couple terabyte drive, you won't. I think maybe 10 gigs is the maximum that it'll play. And your TV may not even recognize the file. It's really weird.
Yeah, and that's the problem I run into.
Yeah. I don't know what Michael did to get those burned. I actually looked, to Blackbeard and to see if Blackbeard was offering any kind of burned copy that I would, borrow from him, because I would never purchase anything from Blackbeard. But even that was not available, so I don't know how to do it. But I'm sure somebody out there can do it. So.
Yeah, I might have to reach out to Michael and see if he can give me a heads up on on how to go about getting those, because I really want to have those movies in 4K to be able to watch on my TV.
I remember how tickled I was to get the despecialized versions on Blu-ray. Like that's my default go-to right there at this time.
Yep.
So
There's actually another version that I actually got, and I think when Coach was down at my house, I think I showed him parts of it. Do you remember the special edition that I showed, the fan-made special edition, where they added to the Hoth battle? They added to.
I vaguely remember that.
I'm trying to remember, but the guy, it's a guy over in England. Robert Pearson might know who I'm talking about. Maybe
was that Addy one? Maybe Addy one or something.
Maybe that kind of vaguely sounds familiar, but they're actually in the process of doing Jedi right now, doing a special edition of Jedi. Yeah. So they do all the original film from start to finish, but they add the stuff that fans really wanted in there. Like, so they're doing like in Jedi, they're doing like more space stuff. Yeah, that's it. Trey Chester.
Addy one, yes.
Yeah, Addy
Trey
one,
knows,
yeah.
man. If I put anything special edition in any of our clips at all, Trey is coming for my chin, buddy.
Yeah,
like he is a head busser.
Yeah, but yeah, I actually got Star Wars and Empire on that, and they are very, very well done. I still prefer the original versions, but for fun and for what they did with those, I like them. I enjoyed watching them. That they added so much cool stuff in there that I wish George would have done instead of what he did do. So yeah,
and they actually fixed up the Chewie getting a medal at the end. They digitally put the medal on him, I believe.
Yeah.
And they actually they added Michael from Retroblasting. He's actually one of the troop rebel soldiers in the background, or at least that's what Michael said when he did a video on it. He said that he was in the background or whatever.
Oh, I think I heard something about that. I think I kind of remember that now.
Yeah, they're actually very well done, and it's nice to see kind of what would have expected, like with they did it with Close Encounters or any of these other epic movies where it's like clean it up, take away the glowing, how the ships would fly, and there's that little bit of glow around the ships in the original Star Wars, stuff like that. Jabba the Hutt being stepped on by Han or whatever. And Greedo shooting first.
Yeah.
Okay, no, positive.
No, it's okay. Hey, addressing the negative only allows the positive to shine more. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We have to address the negative to eliminate it.
Coach right there. That's a lesson from Coach right there.
Yes, sir. J-Man, you do so much with comics, and I think that's one of your big passions. How much Star Wars has been a factor with you in the comic book world?
I've only read a couple of the Lando miniseries that come out. I've always liked Lando. So I read that there was like a C-3PO one where it showed how he got the red arm, which whatever.
Yeah.
Like that was silliness. But otherwise, I like the original Star Wars comics. Those ones. It's funny when you read those ones that came out after Empire. Or was it after? No, I think it was either after Star Wars or after Empire. But the next Jedi hadn't come out yet, so it's really weird to see where they thought it would go and how they thought it would connect. And there's another bounty hunter, and his name escapes me, who's a very interesting bounty hunter who never really made the cut. You never saw him in anything else. But those are some really cool stories. I like anything from that time period, whether it's the comics, the Marvel stuff or whatever. It always felt like they were really trying to tell a story, and they wanted to expand this universe. Now it's more like we want to expand our dollars, right? They just want to, put the name on it. But back then they had a story to tell. And even if it deviated, like there's one book, it was like a bounty hunter book, and it gave you the story of each bounty hunter, and the IG-88 or IG or whatever.
Yeah.
So he'd actually apparently downloaded himself into the Death Star. So he was about to take command of the Death Star, and then it blew up, and you're just like, whoa, like, well, that's a crazy story. And
Yeah, it is.
and
That's amazing.
Yeah, and there's so many creative ideas that are out there that you could have mined for, movies. I mean, Star Wars movies can go on forever. My buddy would say, well, I'm just getting sick of these episode 20, episode 21. Where's it going to end? I was like, well, it's not going to end because it's a galaxy of stories.
That's right.
And, why, right? Like, why retell episode 4 in a remake and call it episode 7? I mean, that's just weird. But it's like, yeah, so the comic books are important. I didn't read back and read a lot of them. Now, with digital comics coming out, it's a little bit easier to I do like digital for that reason. It's very easy to get stuff. You don't have to hunt around for it. But yeah, great stories. Check them out. I don't know if anyone's read any of that stuff. It's really nice, good work and good quality stories by people who cared and really wanted to tell a story. So I appreciate that.
Did you read the Dark Empire series of comics?
No, I did not. But I do have it on digital. I got it through Comixology, so I've got all of that stuff. I just haven't read it yet. I mostly do superhero things and like X-Men stuff or whatever currently.
Yeah, absolutely.
My leisure reading is like going back and reading Star Wars and these kinds of things. So,
well, what's the? I've heard good things about the new team that they put together. Who is it? It's Conan. Is it Carnage?
It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, they're called the Savage Avengers, and it's
the
Punisher,
Savage
Wolverine,
Avengers.
Conan. Yeah, Punisher, Wolverine, Conan, Elektra, Venom. I think Dr. Voodoo is one. That's a great series. I'm about 2 issues behind on it, but Conan is one of my favorite guys. My favorite movie is Conan the Barbarian with Schwarzenegger.
Love that movie.
Yes, and then Empire Strikes Back and 2001: A Space Odyssey. There's my top 3 favorite.
Awesome, good list.
But yeah, but that's a great comic to get into because Conan teaming up with Punisher, and they start getting Punisher into believing in Crom, which was Conan's god. Remember, he'd say Crom,
that's right.
Crom and all that.
Yeah.
And so Punisher starts to think about, is this Crom guy? This sounds really interesting. You're like, wow, what a mesh of 2 weird,
that's awesome.
That's a great series.
I was actually at a comic books store down in South Alabama probably 2 months or so ago, and I actually asked the guy there if he had all the issues up until where they were right now, and he was completely sold out of like 1 through 6. And I was like, I don't want to start at 7. I want to start at the beginning. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're talking about Star Wars stories. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What did you say?
I was just gonna say, grab some digital. That's the best way to do.
Yeah.
To grab some
that makes it easy, doesn't it?
Get them on the Marvel app or whatever.
Absolutely. Bringing it back to those Star Wars stories that you were talking about, J-Man, I don't know how familiar you are with Shadows of the Empire, but if they made an animated series or an animated movie out of that, I would be tickled pink, man.
I love that.
Yeah, I had some of the toys.
Yeah, I did too.
They made some figures.
Yep.
The Outrider.
It'd be a great story.
Here we get. This is with. I think it was Kathleen Kennedy had that interview where she kind of made a little bit of a flub where she kind of didn't realize that there was so many, books, novels, comics, cartoons, things like that. And that was something that people would have bet. If you had to bet money back in our time, you'd be like, well, what are they going to do next? It's like, well, Shadows, obviously that's happened, or Thrawn or something, whatever. It's like, that this thing's going to happen. And then that didn't happen. You're like, oh, that's weird. Like, why wouldn't you do something with that? Right. So that was weird.
Yeah.
But
because so many people love that stuff, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer to the fans.
Right.
And who knows? Let's just be. I'm gonna choose to be optimistic and just hope that they do something awesome animated wise down the road. We know that Clone Wars is coming back out. I know that somebody mentioned that earlier. I think it was Michael or Seth. But I'm banking on that being really, really good and me loving it. And hopefully we get some really good animated films in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this stream down. That's the negative part, is that we're getting old.
Yeah.
We are getting old. J-Man, you have to tell me, you have to look into the camera and promise me you will come back and do this again, sir.
Oh, definitely. I will definitely come back, do whatever you guys want. Drop me a line. I mean, this one, my business is, I'm the boss and I'm not working. All my employees are doing all the work, and I'm just having fun talking.
Y'all work. I'm going to be on a live stream.
I'm going to do YouTube stuff, y'all. I'll be back in a little bit.
Hey, I've been known to do that, and I'm a school teacher.
You were the coolest teacher of all time to show your kids Star Wars. Like, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
I would be like, you'd be like literally my favorite teacher.
They don't even care, man. They're like, I don't care about this. You know.
Yeah, Coach was showing that video, and I was looking at some of them. Like, one of them was getting up, walking around, talking to somebody else. One of them was like looking down. I was like, they're not even paying attention.
Yeah, would have been like,
yeah.
I know.
You guys are missing out on greatness here. Come on.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, J-Man, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure getting to know you, man, and we're going to continue to do that. So we want to support you and what you're doing over at your channel in any way that we can. So thank you so much for being here with us. And if there's anything that you want to plug right here, we'll let you do that.
Sorry,
if there's anything that you want to plug about your channel or say anything or what you do,
no, you know what? No, that's fine. I mean, if people want to check out comic book stuff, that's cool. They can come check me out. Otherwise, the Star Wars stuff, I'm leaving it to two experts who are right here. And I'm going to continue to support everything you guys do and, try to help out in any way that I can. And, I love Star Wars. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job in kind of pioneering this whole positive spin on Star Wars and, sprinkles of negatives, but it is what it is. We want to talk straight. I like the straight talk. That's what's important, straight talk, connecting with fans. And I think you guys are doing a great job. So you guys are going to be the experts on that. And I'm going to, hang back and do my X-Men and Spider-Mans and all that kind of stuff. So
awesome.
Well, when we get on those subjects, we'll definitely bring you in to get your viewpoints on it. Because we are gonna, when that stuff comes up and it's important and it's big going on, because me and Coach are big comic book guys too. I mean, we don't only like just Star Wars. So anytime there's big news or anything going on, especially in the movies and stuff,
you're going to be our comic book man. About it.
Yeah,
you're our will you be our official comic book man?
Yes, I will.
Did you hear me? Okay, yes, all right, good.
Yeah, I will.
Very good. Well, J-Man, thank you for coming by, man, and we will holler at you soon. All right, everybody everybody in the chat give J-Man a 1 in the comment section just for saying thanks for being awesome and coming onto the show.
Yep.
Oh, thanks.
Number 1. Everybody give J-Man a number 1. There's only 23 of us here, which if that includes us, here, I'm doing it. We're 30 seconds behind, so it might take us. There it is, coming. It's coming. There it is. J-Man, you're awesome, brother. Stay awesome. We'll see you later, dude.
Thanks for coming on.
Take care, guys.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So look at all these. Look at all these. Rob. Oh, my goodness. Look at all these number 1s. And then we got somebody on here using very poor language that we're going to have to address. I need everybody to give Keeley a number 2. And that 2 represents we don't like the Roll Tiders. Yeah. We don't like Alabama.
Yeah, Keeley, that language is unacceptable here. You can use that over on Geeks and Gamers. Yeah. You can't use that over here on Echo Base Network.
Everybody please give Keeley the number 2. Oh my goodness gracious. Awesome. She said, I'm not only Alabama fan watching the live stream, which is sweet and awesome. Awesome. Look at all those 2s coming in. Oh, E. Stevens. This is it right here. Boom. 2 trillion. Very cool. Well, Nick, you got any final thoughts before we let this go?
Me and Coach are gonna be doing a video maybe tonight. Not sure.
Later tonight, we're gonna make a video to release later. An EBN presents.
Yep. We're going to be talking about the whole Collider debacle. We're going to be talking about the Reddit leaks with the whole JJ Lucasfilm situation debacle. So you guys are going to be kind of getting our thoughts. We've kind of meditated on that news and kind of seen more and more stuff come out on that. So we'll be hitting on that, and you guys will get to hear our thoughts and our take on those situations.
Yeah.
And there is some new developing news on both those topics that I just found out today. So it'll be some new takes, not the same stuff you guys have seen from several of the other channels already.
Absolutely. Trey, we will definitely be picking your brain on stuff, and we appreciate all of the comments and everything that you always give us, man. And you've kind of been a guiding light for us at times, and we appreciate that. Loki, I will definitely get with you and let you know how I'm doing it. There's probably a better way, to be honest with you, but I'm happy to do that for you as well. As for the giveaway, it's the number one that was entered earlier in the show. That we had a 2 to 3 minute long window for everybody to hit the number one. That giveaway, the winner will be revealed next Saturday night, right before 7 o'clock at the end of our pre-show, which will stream from 6 to 7. We're already working on next week's show. So if you guys don't mind, please subscribe, like, comment, and share the stream and everything that we're going to be doing next week. We got an awesome show lined up from 6 to 7 pre-show, and then Why We Love Star Wars episode number 3, followed by Why We Love Star Wars Live, where you get us and some of you guys be ready to come on that night, because we want to hear. Everybody has a story, and like we've already said, there are Star Wars fans of all types. There are people who love the movies, the games, the comics, the music, whatever it is. We have a place for you, and it's right here at home, Echo Base Network Live. This channel is for all of us.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to want to bring some of you guys on. Stone Loki, we brought J-Man on tonight. Robert Pearson. We definitely want to do some stuff and have you on and show off all the cool stuff that you do, and kind of show everybody. Trey, Chester, anybody else that has webcams out there that want to jump in and have a conversation with us, just let us know, and we'll definitely look at bringing you guys on.
And I see Batman just showed up here at the end. Batman, the stream is going to be available to watch pre-recorded or post-production. So you will be able to go back and watch it. Please do that and let us know what you think.
Yeah, and watch the video. So Coach releases a pre-live stream video, which after the stream, we're going to cut down the wait time on it, the premiere time, so that it's just the video that you see, which is only, I think, like 7 minutes long, and then come back and watch this live stream after you watch that one.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and end this stream. Thank you so much for being here tonight on Echo Base Network Live and our show, Why We Love Star Wars. As always, I am Coach. He is Nick. You are Echo Base Network, and we are out.
See you on the next one.